let's look at 25 and then, not too far in the future, but, what is on your radar, tech radar,
Ah,
no pun intended, for this next year, for this upcoming year. And, what do you think we should be paying attention to, investing in, maybe planning to invest in, technology wise?
yeah, I would say from a technology wise perspective, a lot of the emphasis is going to be on edge. So that's again, is how do you scale
Mm,
effectively?
mm,
And then the other emphasis is really going to be on security. We saw that explode in 2024. Holy smokes!
yeah.
And then you have, the CTA WAVE SVTA Common Access Token standard was published in December.
Mm,
So now we're going to start to see people starting to implement things like that.
mm,
The I think there's going to be a continued investment in trying to reduce device fragmentation. It's a really 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 big problem. Like
it's a gnarly problem.
if you
Yeah.
talk to these content owners, like if you talk to a Hulu or talk to a Disney, talk to probably even Netflix, they have warehouses of televisions with different versions, models,
Yeah.
OSs, because
Yeah.
you have to physically test these things because those devices, phones, TVs, they go out to different countries as we deprecate them as US consumers.
Yeah.
Those devices are sent to emerging countries, or I mean
Yeah.
emerging nations and developing nations and third world countries, and that becomes their primary device. And so then you're like, oh, okay, if we don't allow that anymore, then we've just cut off
Yeah.
content to those
And
people.
entire countries in some cases,
And in
entire
in
markets.
some
Yeah.
ways that has to be done. There are some
Yeah.
cases where the hardware itself cannot be secured well enough. So
Yeah.
it's like we can't deliver to that box
Yeah.
anymore.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I think there's going to be a lot of push in that direction. It's funny. I had this sort of bucket of thing called interactivity, and I put
Hmm.
it up or down, and I might say it's going to be down again. I think
Hmm.
we're all as an industry. So this is this other part of the industry, right? So we have the
Hmm.
core technology, which allows us to stream reliably with resiliency and scale. And then you've
Yeah.
got this other part, which is what we'll just call sort of the user experience. How can
Yeah.
I, because it's no longer signal, it's now digital. What can I do with these digital
Yeah.
bits that I couldn't do
Yeah.
before? I can have
Yeah.
multi-camera angle. I can have, I can, I can include in other alternative people talking about like a sporting event.
Hmm.
A guy from TikTok, he's got his own, channel, and I can just click on him. So there are some ways where we're trying to shape the user experience to be more
Yeah.
interesting, especially to different generations. But
Yeah.
interactivity as a whole, shoppable commerce, I would have put
Yeah.
that a negative 25. Like,
I know.
I don't think we're ready for this. I don't necessarily think people are super interested yet. In the
Yeah.
future, maybe, but it's still not at
And
that
yet,
place.
and yet, I want to make an observation specifically about shoppable commerce, because I'm aware of one particular platform that is operating in primarily in Southeast Asia. It has incredible scale, delivering a lot of simultaneous live streams, and doing very well. I mean, and so it's so also. I remind myself and the folks working around me, it seems like every day, like, just because, this trend or this use case is not hot in the US or in North America or in Europe or, some part of the world, does not invalidate it somewhere else in the world, or mean that the usage we're hearing about, is sort of like, yeah, it's this, sort of corner edge case. Like, yeah, a
So
corner edge case with like tens of millions and millions and hundreds of millions of consumers that, guess what, love to watch these influencers live. Basically, it's the QVC channel. I mean, that's what
well, and
you.
I was going to add a
That's what's
caveat.
funny to me. It's like we had
Well, but
this when I was a kid. I watched this on TV. It's
and
like,
that's the thing is there's a differentiator there where um, you know a Netflix video could be watched if it wasn't just specific to the Netflix player. Like if they didn't have a walled garden, they said like, here's our
yeah,
video. You can watch it
yeah,
anywhere. You can
yeah,
literally watch it anywhere.
yeah.
TikTok does not exist. Like TikTok exists within the TikTok platform, for
That's
example.
right.
And
That's
so
right.
it's a very specific closed community. Now, do the things that they do with their live video, does that maybe at some point and someday carry out? Yeah. So the caveat is, in different geographic regions, it may happen faster, it may not happen at all. And so, just, as a whole, sort of interactivity for me is what I'm seeing across streaming video as a whole is not what we had expected it to be. I think people are still in the lean back experience, even if they're just little clips. They're still like, I just want to watch, I want, and we talk about second. How many times have we talked about second screen? Like, oh, people have this app, a companion app, to be able to do all this stuff, and are people really doing that? No, they're just on TikTok while they're watching.
Yeah, exactly. No. Here's a funny thing: is absolutely everyone is doing second screen. It's called phone in your hand. Navigating, doing whatever, checking your email,
not really paying attention to video.
Exactly, with Netflix going or whatever, whatever streaming service of choice. But so yes, we're all doing second screen. It's just that this whole thing of, it's going to be connected and it's this extension of the experience and you can learn all about the actor on the screen. Like, nobody's doing that.
2025, and again, so use cases, right? Interactivity is probably far more relevant for live sports. AR, VR, XR, probably more relevant for live sports or live events. So some of these interactivity things will just be very germane to specific use cases. But, again, so I think, security in 2025 is going to be a lot of emphasis going to be placed on security technology. And then I think a lot of emphasis is going to be placed on advertising. So we're still the ad tech stack. When we talk about the video tech stack being, kind of messy, the ad tech stack is, I don't have a word to describe it. Catastrophe. Like it's so complex and it's so
fractured and fragmented, and